Hello, guys. We have already talked about the elements of art. Now is our time to talk about the principles of art. Okay. So the principles of art, we have seven of them. Um, some of them have two words in there, but they go together. Okay. So the first one we're gonna start out with pattern. And like I told the A/B classes, the face-to-face classes, um, when you think about it, the elements. Okay, let me put this back right here. The elements. The elements are like, if you think about it food-wise, the elements are the pieces. Okay, think about a hamburger, cheeseburger. All right, the elements are the parts that make up a cheeseburger. Okay, I just got tongue tied like really bad, but they're the parts that make up a cheeseburger. All right. What I mean by that is if you take that cheeseburger and you separate all those ingredients that make it a cheeseburger, you take the bread, the lettuce, the onions, the tomatoes, the cheese, the burger, the bacon, whatever you put on it, and you separate those are their own individual things. Okay. So like line is its own individual thing, shape is its own individual thing, color is its own individual thing. But when you put them together, they make the principles of art. The principles of art have a combination of these elements. And one example of that is pattern. Okay? Pattern is a repetition of the elements of art. Okay? So repetition, that means that it goes over and over and over again. Like for example, uh, music wise, if I were to sing Miss Nava, Miss Nava, Miss Nava, Miss Nava, that's repetition. That's repeating over and over and over again. So repetition of the ooh, forgot my E, the EOA, the elements of art. Okay, that's what that means. Elements of art. All right. And one example of that is if you make a pattern, the repetition of elements of art. Let's say we are repeating shapes, and I have a repetition of triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. That is a repetition, or excuse me, that is a pattern. That is a repetition of the element of art shape. But I could also make a pattern out of line. I could take a straight line, curvy line, straight line, curvy line, straight line, curvy line. That is a pattern. Okay, so a pattern, like I said, is a repetition of the elements of art. Okay, emphasis. Emphasis is a principle of art and it grabs your attention. All right, so it's the main idea of a piece of art. All right, so main idea. All right. And that means that it grabs your attention. All right. It's the main thing you notice in a piece of art. Like, for example, if I were to draw a sun and it is bigger than anything else that I have drawn on my paper, is anything else that's on my paper going to grab my attention other than that sun? It might get a little bit of my attention, but it's not going to get the main focus of my attention. Why? Look at the size of it. All right. And if I do maybe something like this, I would draw them a little better, but we don't have that much time. I don't want to take up all your time. But if we have something like this, these stars are all around it. Those are all the same. Those are repeating, uh, pattern, making a pattern around the sun. But that sun is that main idea. Usually, um, whenever you have something that is bigger than everything else in your artwork, it takes the focus. All right, it takes the main focus that the person who is looking at it is getting. Okay, so if I look at this, I I'm not really going to pay too much attention to everything that's around it. I'm going to pay attention to this because it gets my attention. It's the main focus of the artwork. All right. It is emphasized because of its size. It's emphasized because it's different than everything else in the picture. Okay. So emphasis. All right. That is the second principle of art. All right. The main idea, emphasis. All right. Variety. Variety is an assortment of elements of art in an artwork. Okay, so combination. It's easier for me to write this way. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to like set up my camera, and so far this is the best setup. Okay, so we're gonna try to make it work. So combination of the elements of art. Elements in an artwork. Okay, so it's a combination of the elements of art in an artwork. For example, if I have this shape right here, this shape right here, those are shapes. Okay, but what if I add in another element like line, dotted line, line, dotted line, line, a line in the middle, a line that goes around this shape. Those are two elements right there that I've already used, and I haven't even added color yet. Line, shape. Then what else do I have? What other element of art can I put in there? All right, color. You have space. We can put space. We get smaller in the distance. Okay, so variety is a combination of the elements of art in an artwork. And like I said, we've already used three of them. We got shape, we have line, we have space. And if you even add color to it, that is another element of art. Okay, so variety, combination of the elements of art in an artwork. All right, unity. Unity, how the elements of art work together and fit together so an artwork is complete. Unity, how well everything flows together. All right, how well the elements, I'm gonna put EOA for elements of art, flow together in an artwork. In a piece of art. Of art. All right. So, how can we draw that? What's an example of unity? All right. So, let's think about it this way. If I were to take this circle, and then I were to take this shape right here, kind of like a square. All right, so you kind of have like a part of a circle, part of a square. Those are two different pieces of or two different, totally different shapes. Okay, you got a circle, no corners, no sides. You got a square or partial of a square, corner, sides, all that. How do we unify them? How do we make them flow together? We, as us as artists, figure that out. Okay, and we use this entire piece of paper and our elements of art to make them flow together. And of course, I'm using an example, like I'm looking at an example. You would have to really, really, really think about it to make these things flow, okay? And we're flowing, and we're flowing. But it's not just that, okay? So we have that, but there's something missing. We can add in a pattern. We can add in some lines. But unity is how well, everything flows together. And if something looks a little off, like I don't really like this dotted line anymore. It looks weird. But if something is a little off, then think about your elements of art. What element can I add into it or principle that can make everything flow or unify the whole picture a little bit? Because at first, I started out with just these two, this one and this one, but ended up with this. I think it looks pretty cool. All right, it looks a little weird, but I think it looks cool. All right, balance. There are 3 types of balances. You have radial, that means it goes around a point. So this would be my point right here. Radial goes around the middle. All right, balance can be radial, that means it goes around the center. It could be to where you have the exact same on each side. So let's say I have a square, and if I want to keep it balanced, I'm gonna put something the exact same thing, or the exact same thing, or something similar on the other side. Okay. Now symmetrical balance. Sorry, is the second one. That's when you do have the same thing on each side. Okay. So radial goes around the center. Symmetrical balance goes. Sorry, I'm doing a video. All right. Sorry, y'all. All right, but symmetrical, that means that you can divide it in the middle and it's the same on both sides. And then you also have asymmetrical. That means if I have a line of symmetry right here, and then I got this going on right here, and then this totally different thing going on right here, that means that they're asymmetrical. They're not the same on both sides. So you have radial, symmetrical. Oh God, how do I spell that? Okay, symmetrical and asymmetrical. All right, and then so that's it for balance. Okay, so like I said, radial, symmetrical, asymmetrical. Around the center, around the middle, and it's the same on both sides. And then you have asymmetrical, that is not the same on both sides. All right, the next one, rhythm and movement. All right, sorry, I'm looking at my sheet. It is a regular repetition of the elements of art to create a sense of rhythm or movement. And this is one of the ones that you can usually see in a piece of art because everything, I feel like it goes along with unity. It all kind of flows together. So if we were to have, let's say this is a hill, all right? I'm going to try to draw a hill, all right? And then we have leaves moving the same direction as the hill. That would be a sense of movement. And another thing we can do is add in line to make it look like they're moving. But rhythm and movement, that is whenever you're looking at a piece of artwork and it looks like stuff is moving. Okay, it has a rhythm, it has a flow. All right, so let me put that down. Flow. Okay, so rhythm and movement, flow. All right, it looks like it's moving. Okay, proportion and scale. All right, this one, you eventually learn about it in math, how something that is small can be something big as well. All right, so same thing with proportion and scale in art. Let's say we start out with this one. All right, now a smaller scale of this shape would be that. Even smaller scale of this shape would be that. It's when something stays the exact same shape, but the only thing that changes is the scale of it. It gets bigger, it gets smaller. It's not the proportion of it, of the shape, gets bigger. Okay, so proportion and scale. All right, I usually just say scale because it makes it sound better. Whenever I say it as proportion, I'm like, so I would just rather say scale. So scale. All right, and let's say we have the scale of this. We can make it smaller as well. So if we want to make it a smaller scale, we make it a smaller scale. If we have something like, let's see, let's do a square. We can also make it a bigger scale. So let's say I start out with a shape like that. I can make the scale of that square bigger. Just like that. Okay? Let's see. So those are your principles of art. And like I was saying, the elements of art do deal with it, but they're two totally different things. The elements of art are each individual thing, like line, shape, color, texture, value, form, space. But the principles, they're made up of those things. Okay, so the principles contain more than one element of art. All right, so like pattern, repetition of the elements of art, emphasis, the main idea of a piece of art, variety, combination of the elements of art in the elements in an artwork, unity, how well the elements of art flow together in a piece of art, balance, which can be radial. That means that it goes around the center, it's balanced in the center. And symmetrical, same on both sides. Asymmetrical, not the same on both sides. Rhythm and movement, it means the artwork flows. It looks like stuff is moving in the artwork. Proportion and scale, when something gets bigger but stays the same shape, or when something gets smaller and stays the same shape. Okay? Now, if you have any questions about anything, just like I said in the first video, please email me, dojo me. You can call me at the school from 1 to 3. No, I'm sorry, 1:30 to 3 o'clock. Those are my planning times each day. So yeah, and good luck, guys. And if you have any questions, hit me up. Bye.